they're up one.
Well, now there's no 2 for 1 here.
Durant 3. Yes! How good is Durant? They've come from 18 down. They've got 47 from KD.
Welcome back. You just watched KD's dagger 3 with 22 seconds left. The Warriors came back from an 18-point deficit in the third quarter against we keep calling them the scrappy Magic. They're doing very well.
They are. They got a good team. They're scary. They can beat anybody on any given night.
Yeah, KD and Klay combining for 78 of the Warriors' 116 points. After the game, Kevon Looney said, quote, "It's a great luxury that we have KD and Klay making big shots down the stretch. As a role guy, we know that if we do our job on the defensive end and do all the small things, those guys will take us home." So, Byron, there's been some hand-wringing among Warriors fans who I guess haven't had enough to worry about the last few years. They pick at something. Concerned about the team's lack of depth. You think that's a little overblown? I mean, you've got 2 All-Stars hurt right now, Steph and Draymond, and they did this.
Listen, a lack of depth is, I don't think, the biggest problem with the Golden State Warriors. When you're missing 2 great players, when you're missing all-stars, it's hard for anybody on that bench to make up for that. You know, and we all know at the end of the day, if this team is healthy, and that's all Steve Kerr is trying to do, make sure he just keeps the ship going nice and smooth as possible, you know, and just make sure everybody's healthy when the playoffs start. They know they got a great chance of winning another championship. But to say that their depth is not there, I don't think it's as good as it could be, but I also think that when you have those guys that you have missing, it's almost overblown because of the fact that they're great players. And there's nobody on that bench that can come in and do the things that they do.
Listen, you put out a top 4 or 5 player in KD. Top 5, let's just put him in the top 5. MVP player. You have Klay Thompson, who's arguably top 10. You lose 2 All-Stars. How many teams can say they lose 2 All-Stars, but you can still put out this caliber of talent out there no matter who's around them?
None.
When you put this talent of 2 great players together, they make the other guys around them better. So this depth, all these excuses of the injuries and the inconsistency, when you're able to put these 2 caliber of players on the court, us 3 can run with them and probably get a win at some point. I mean, come on now. That's KD and that's Klay.
Look, I mean,
we can get a win.
Right? I mean, they lost a few games there. It did not feel very like Warriors-like basketball, but that had a lot more to do with some of the lack of cohesion issues on the team and a depth issue.
Some in-house fighting.
Exactly. I want to ask you about Steph Curry, but first I got to stick you on KD is a top 5 player because last year you said he was the best player in the NBA. So where are we, Mr. Paul Pierce?
You know, it rotates. It rotates around. You know, there's so many great players. Harden got the MVP, Westbrook, and then you got Giannis and LeBron. It changes every week. You know, one week he's the best player. I mean, but right now, Steph is the MVP.
Okay, so why? First of all, I would just like everyone to know I come to work every day.
This is why, because they've struggled without Steph. And when he comes back, you're going to watch their offensive numbers surge. He's going to be playing at a high level, and they're going to get right back on track. That's why he's an MVP. It's similar to like years ago when Nash, when he got hurt, missed those 6-7 games they couldn't win. He comes back, they go on a 10-game win streak. This is what you're going to see happen with Steph.
Then all is good
then
in Golden State land.
I'm very curious about that and how being out for this stretch is going to affect Steph's MVP chances because we were talking about him.
I think it improves it.
Well, that's the thing. So we were talking about him as an MVP candidate before he got hurt, and I mean, he had those few spectacular games. And normally when a guy misses and the team is okay, like it's like, okay, well, then he's kind of a little bit out of the race because you have to play the best ability is availability. But here, this team literally blew up while he was gone. They had, I mean, the locker room exploded, and they had to bring Steph on their next road trip, even though he had no shot of playing, just to get everyone back on track. That is value, my friends.
That is super value, on and off the court.
Yeah, what Paul just said is that it increases his value, but it only increases if he comes back and he lights it up like he did before he gets hurt.
That's a good point, right.
So if he comes back and plays like the Steph Curry that we know he is, and the way he was putting up numbers before he got hurt, then I think the MVP is a shoo-in for him. But again, that's a big but.
It's a big if on a team with so many other stars.
It's a big if because he's coming back off an injury. He's got to get his timing. He's got to get his win. And he's got to get acclimated to being with those guys again.
And there's a lot of other guys who want to get theirs. And then Boogie Cousins is coming back. So
2019, he's going to be ready to play. So it's a lot of other variables to it.
We'll be talking about them for a bit longer.